In our video today, we will discuss, has Lamar Jackson changed the narrative on his career with his playoff win versus the Houston Texans? The Baltimore Ravens make television history with their game Saturday in the divisional round. Has Lamar Jackson moved into the penthouse of quarterbacks in the league?
Y'all finished or y'all done?
And does defense still win championships? All this and more next. Lamar freaking Jackson. With Saturday's win over the Houston Texans 34-10, he got his second playoff win that has long been overdue, a playoff win that kind of quiets the narrative that he can't get it done in the postseason. Now, it may not change people's minds on what they think of him because, as always, they move the goalposts. All week long, I've been hearing from Houston Texans fans, Lamar this, Lamar that, he's a running back, he can't get it done, he's going to fail, our team is going to destroy you. But after the victory, it was a rookie quarterback, they were inexperienced, that's the only reason that you won, he's not going to continue to get it done. But if we take a deeper dive and look into what Lamar Jackson has done this season and throughout his career, we'll see you need to put some respect on his name. They're going to look at his stats and say, he only had 152 yards passing. He did rush for 100 yards, but that may not be enough to quiet the doubters. But if we look at the game with Josh Allen versus the Kansas City Chiefs, Josh Allen only threw for 180 something yards. He had about 70 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Lamar had 4 touchdowns. But of course, being that it is Lamar Jackson, this wasn't good enough. The convincing and dominating win wasn't convincing enough for people to say, hey, Lamar is an excellent quarterback and you can win with this style of play. But to me, the biggest factor was how he played the game, how he dominated and controlled the clock. Now, many in sports media, they're going to point out that the Ravens have probably the best defense in the league, the number 1 scoring defense, and just probably the number 1 defense overall. But to look at the nuances of the game, you'll really see how Lamar put this team on his back. And to me, it starts off with 3 drives that dictated this game to me. The first was the second quarter drive. That drive took 11 plays, 76 yards, and 6 minutes and 14 seconds off the clock, ending with a Lamar touchdown run. In a close game, he took nearly almost half a quarter off the clock, which rested our defense and got Houston's offense kind of out of sync. You can't get rolling if you're not on the field. Then in the third quarter, which rolled over to the fourth quarter, there was a 12-play, 93-yard drive that took another 7 minutes and 3 seconds off the clock. And that play resulted in a touchdown as well. Now, it's hard for a team to come back if you can't get on the field and score points. So credit to defense, but Lamar Jackson put his stamp on his game. Then, after they got the ball back, they went on an 11-play, 78-yard drive that took 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Quarters are only 15 minutes, and he took 7 minutes off the clock. So between the third and fourth quarters, it was over 14 minutes that the Houston Texans and rookie phenom CJ Stroud was not on the field. But of course, Lamar is not going to get the credit that he deserves because he doesn't have gaudy numbers. This is not your father's NFL. Quarterbacks now have to be mobile. They have to get out of the pocket. Josh Allen is praised for his running, but Lamar is nagged for it. His arms and his legs led the Ravens to victory, and I think this is the beginning of the era of the mobile quarterback. We don't need quarterbacks to go out here and throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. If you can get about 3,500, 4,000 yards, rush for another 700, I think that's what the NFL is going to. And especially if Lamar wins the Super Bowl, there's going to be a paradigm shift in the NFL. It's a copycat league. And when teams find ways to win, other teams go out and try to replicate what they've seen be successful. So I say to you all, don't just look at the stat sheet. Look at the actual game. Look at the gameplay. Look how he controlled that game. He broke that team's will. And hopefully he'll continue to do so this week versus the AFC Championship opponent, Kansas City Chiefs. And speaking of this game, let's get to ESPN, the network that broadcasts this game. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Houston Texans game set an ESPN record, the network that has been around since 1979. This game has been the most viewed sporting event in ESPN history. This game brought in 31.8 million views.
31.8 million views.
Now, I don't know if everyone tuned in to see Lamar fail or if they tuned in to watch the Ravens win. But either way, this shows you how polarizing Lamar Jackson really is. Whether you want to see him win, whether you want to see him lose, love him or hate him, Lamar is must-see TV. And I think that this game proved it. I think this proves the viability of the Baltimore Ravens. This playoff push is helping push this franchise into uncharted territory. Now, I know we have the Dallases, we have the Patriots, we have the Rams, we have all of these storied franchises, but I think the Ravens are actually on the come up, and it is because of one man and one man in particular. With the Ravens finally seeing who their opponent is in the AFC Championship game being the Kansas City Chiefs, we get a marquee matchup of two quarterbacks. We get Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes. Now, all hail Patrick Mahomes and all of his accomplishments. 6 straight AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowl appearances, and 2 Super Bowl wins. I think Lamar and Patrick are neck and neck as far as the best quarterbacks, the best players in the league. Lamar just does not have the same hardware that the 2-time MVP Patrick Mahomes has. But for me, I'm glad that this matchup is finally getting its just due. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that I thought after 2019, I thought this was going to be the new Manning-Brady rivalry. Unfortunately, the Ravens did not hold up their end of the bargain. The Ravens kind of let Lamar down by not getting him the weapons that he needs to put him and keep him up there at the top with Mahomes, keep him competing for championships. Know that everyone wanted to elevate Josh Allen up into that stratosphere, because when you talk about the best quarterbacks in the league, you always hear Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow mentioned as the top tier. Then there's a slight gap and then you get the other top quarterbacks. But for me and Ravens fans, we've always known that Lamar should have been in this conversation. It should not have taken for this one game, this one victory, to elevate him in. Now, if he can be one of the few quarterbacks to take Patrick Mahomes out of the playoffs, I think there's no doubt that his name will be mentioned as one of the top 1 to 3 quarterbacks in the league. Now,
We're moving on now.
for me, it's number 1. If you watched me do my 100 player countdown before the season, I had Lamar Jackson number 1. Everybody laughed and said, "You're crazy, you're a homer, there's no way he's the best player in the league." And in about 2 weeks, we'll find out for certain. Because when the NFL honors come out and they name the NFL's MVP, I think that Lamar Jackson's name will be announced, and that makes him the best player in the NFL. So hopefully this is the start of big things to come. Hopefully this is the start of a rivalry between the top 2 talents at the quarterback position in the NFL, battling it out for championships for years to come. I know it came a little late, but at least it came. And come Sunday at 3 p.m., Lamar can overtake the rest of the field and either become 1A or 1B. In today's NFL, does defense still win championships? That is a narrative that is still being pushed to date, which I think is a little bit outdated and a little bit overrated. Now, the Baltimore Ravens had the top scoring defense in the NFL, and I think that helps out tremendously. But you need offense to score points to win a championship. If defense winning championships was the name of the game, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens of the early 2000s would have won more championships than they did. But let's take a look at the past 5 Super Bowl winners and see where they rank offensively and defensively. First up, we have the 2022 Kansas City Chiefs. Offensively, they rank 1st in points scored, 1st in yards. They rank 16th in points scored against, and 11th in yards given up. Now, the number 1 defense that season was the San Francisco 49ers, who lost in the conference championship because they just could not score enough points. Now, in 2021, the Super Bowl champion was the Los Angeles Rams. They had the 7th ranked points scored offense. They were 9th in yards. They were 15th in points scored against, 17th in yards given up. Now, the number 1 defense that season was the Buffalo Bills, which lost in the divisional round and gave up 46 points. 46 points for a number 1 ranked defense. They let the Kansas City Chiefs score with 13 seconds left on the clock to send the game into overtime. In 2020, we have the champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I know everyone wants to give credit to their defense and say, well, the defense is the reason that they won that title. And I beg to differ. They had Tom Brady, possibly the greatest player ever in NFL history, where that offense scored and scored again. Offensively, they were ranked 3rd in points scored, 7th in yards gained. Defensively, they were 8th in points given up and 6th in yards allowed. But that season, the number 1 defensive team, the Los Angeles Rams, lost in the divisional round. defense, but their offense was 22nd in points scored. Now we go to dreaded 2019. Once again, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, they ranked 5th in points scored, 6th in yards gained, 7th in points scored against, and 17th in yards allowed. Now, the number 1 defensive team that season, the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, who lost in the wild card round to the Tennessee Titans. Man, it's hard to believe. Tennessee beat New England and Baltimore? Ugh. And last but not least, we go to the 2020 season where the Super Bowl champions were the New England Patriots. The Patriots were 4th in points scored and 5th in yards gained. Defensively, they were 7th in points against and 21st in yards allowed. Now, the number 1 defense of that season were the Chicago Bears, who lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card round 16-15. So with all that defense and only giving up 16 points, they couldn't score. So this in turn tells me you need offense to win games in today's NFL. Now you need to have a defense that situationally gives you plays, situationally gives you stops. So in my summation, I believe that having the best defense in the NFL today just is not enough. It's not enough to get you a Super Bowl championship or even enough to get you to progress to make it to a Super Bowl. Luckily for us, the 2023 Baltimore Ravens ranked 4th in points scored and 6th in yards gained. And of course, defensively, we are number 1 in points allowed and we are 6th in yards allowed against. So hopefully the combination of those two will help the Baltimore Ravens reach that goal and have them sit atop the NFL mountaintop as the 2023 Super Bowl champions. Okay, y'all, appreciate you for hanging out with me and another video down. I told you, once we won this game versus Houston, the videos were going to come. Now, I'm not going to shame the Houston Texans because it's not sportsmanlike. I'm a gracious winner, and I do believe any given Sunday, anything can happen. So there you have it. And once again, make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with others, help push this channel on the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate you all for hanging out with me. Appreciate you for all the love I've been receiving over the last week. And until next time, it's your boy.